What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? This is Ammon the Average Aussie, and today I've got a comparison video. Pride gloves, open palm, versus the UFC glove. Luckily enough to have both of those here. This Pride glove is part of a pair that I have from a good friend of mine from Japan who fought for Pride. He had one fight with them. Unfortunately, he lost that fight. He fought against Jens Pulver. His name is Taisho. And he continued to train in these gloves in the hope that he would get the call to come back. And we all know that Pride eventually closed its doors, so that wasn't to be. But he gifted me this pair of gloves. So I have an insight on this question, the UFC glove versus the Pride glove, that very few people will be able to do, because very few people actually have a pair of official Pride fight gloves. These are worn, however, they're still in amazing condition for the years of use. So in saying that, let's talk about manufacture firstly. Here we've got a UFC Century manufactured glove, and this Pride glove is rumored to have been made by Winning, a Japanese brand name Winning. Now, for those of you who don't know Winning is a little bit like the Ferrari of the motor industry for gloves. They make the best gloves. They're made in Japan. A pair of Winning gloves will cost between $300 and maybe $800 US. So you know that these gloves, being made by Winning, should also meet the same quality requirements that their boxing gloves do, and they do. The Century gloves are really just more like the Hyundai or the Toyota of manufacturers in the glove industry. So they're, you know, fairly entry-level type equipment. I believe that they're all made in China. Nothing really special. Basic materials, mass-produced, pretty cheap. So straight away, you know, the Winning-made glove is going to be technically far more superior in quality and craftsmanship than something that was made by Century. Now when you put these things on, you can instantly notice the difference. The Pride glove is built to basically wrap around your hand. It feels like an extension of the hand. It feels incredible. The Century glove, when you put it on, it's stiff and flat. So to make a fist, you're always having to push the leather and push the glove out of its actual position to try and make a fist. It's not a natural movement. And if you have a look at both of them without me moving my fingers, one glove is prone, the Century glove is prone to point out straight, and the Pride glove points your fingers down. So it wants to push your fingers into that fist, whereas a Century glove, you've got to force it a bit to make that happen, and even then, it's not an ideal shape. So I'm going to give you all a closer look at the glove itself and talk about a few of the features of the glove. Firstly, the Pride glove, as you can see here, it comes naturally molded towards the fist shape, so pointing the knuckles and the fingers downwards, so you can make a fist easily, which is incredible. There's very few glove manufacturers that are actually doing that even today, and this glove is 10 years old at least. You can see there where it had laces, it's just to better secure the fit. So towards the thumb is guarded here on the inside. There's neoprene here, I guess, to protect the thumb slightly. In some Pride gloves, there are a few versions. In some gloves the neoprene came out to about here, in some of them a little bit lower. And quite often what the fighters would do is actually cut the neoprene off if it got in the way for grappling. But one of the cool features about this glove in particular is that it's what's called an open palm glove. So the palm of that glove is completely open, so that there's more surface area for the hand, and therefore technically you might say be a little easier to do grappling with. It has these little bits of leather over the fingers, under the fingers, that the fingers slide into, which hold the fingers in place. And on the back side of the glove, you've got this cushioning here. What that is for exactly, I'm not really sure. I think it just helps it to be a bit sturdier A spinning back fist would probably hurt someone a little less, and obviously they can put the sponsorship image on here. Obviously they used to say Pride, but that's been worn down from use. So interesting design, and it does differ quite a lot from the UFC glove. This one is signed 10 points to anyone that gets that signature. Fairly basic in design. Velcro strapping around the wrist. And on the interior is a secondary wrap of Velcro. And that opens the glove up. There's nowhere for the thumb specifically. The thumb just hangs out the edge. And as the fingers go into the glove, they're a little bit loose. There's sort of not a lot of support for the fingers. And again, it takes a bit of it would take a bit of work to get these ready for a fight, I would imagine. Probably a lot of bending and fitting going on backstage before a fight. So that's basically it, fairly basic in design. Okay, there were two things I considered to be the most important aspects of the glove as to which one was more superior than the other. The first part of that is protection to the hands and the wrists of the wearer. Now both of them are going to provide some protection, but as to which one is superior, the Pride glove pushes the hand towards a fist shape and the Century glove doesn't. So it's pretty obvious straight away that with more closed fists, easier to close your fist, and more tendency to not have your hands flat and wide and open, that the Pride glove is going to be more superior as far as preventing a handbrake. You know, I'm not going to say too much about the foam and the padding. They're both padded, they're both got foam in them. I would assume that they're both fairly similar in that regard, but it's the shape of the fingers and the shape of the fist that I think that is important. Bellator recently have upgraded their gloves, and they've released quite a bit of data about how their gloves have provided superior safety to the wearer because of the curve that we see on Pride gloves. So Pride gloves were really way ahead of their time, you know, a decade ahead of their time as far as design and safety. Now the second thing that was important, so the first part was protecting the wearer, the second part is protecting the person that's receiving the damage, receiving the punishment, is that quite simple, again, because of this design, it's not going to have the tendency for someone to leave their hands flat and open to be poking you in the eye. Moving around, they're going to be putting their fingers up and their hands up, and because their hands aren't tilted down to protect, they're going to get gouged in the eyes. And we see that time and time again in the UFC and other organizations which aren't using the superior style and curvature of glove. So it's pretty obvious to me, just based on those 2 points, and on top of that noting the quality difference between the two gloves. This Pride glove has been used for years. There isn't a stitch out of place on this glove. It's incredible. Got that old blue stitching all around it in amazing condition. The leather is a little beaten up, it's a little worn, but you know, it's basically in 100% useful condition. So the quality of this glove is second to none. Winning make the as good a glove as you can purchase in comparison to the cheap and mass-produced glove that the UFC use. There's nothing wrong with these gloves, but there is a superior glove out there. Now this is where it gets interesting. For most of you, you're aware that the UFC actually purchased Pride. So a decade ago, Pride put their business up for sale, the UFC purchased it, and along with that they took a few of the fighters, they took their video library, and a few other things. What they did not take is the glove design, and I don't understand why. It could be that it wasn't part of the deal. It could be that they couldn't establish the deal with Winning following the purchase. I'm not sure what it was. It could have been price. These were definitely going to be a cheaper option. But whatever the reason is, I'm sure that they messed up in not taking that design with them. Now, I would also assume that UFC have a contract with Century for a period of time, and with all the changes that are happening in the glove industry and the improvements that we've seen in the past and in modern times with Bellator. I can't imagine the UFC will go too much longer with this style of glove. My gut feel is that they're going to upgrade and come out with a glove that has the similar curvature to the Pride and Bellator gloves. So to me, guys, it's pretty obvious, having both gloves here, having worn them and messed around with both of them, that the Pride glove is far superior. Tell me what you think. Make a comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.